Time now for Focus, and today we're looking at Puerto Rico's debt crisis, which has led many people to move to the mainland. To help the U.S. territory tackle its $72 billion debt, the House of Representatives approved a bipartisan bill last week. It creates a financial control board with mixed reactions on the island. France 24's Philip Crowther and Gallagher Fenwick report.
This is the kind of place where the regulars come to talk about la crisis, the Puerto Rican crisis. A 10-year economic slump on the island is coming to a head, and its effects have crept into everyday life. There's barely enough money for some to pay for the daily serving of soup.
Much like a boat that is about to sink, that's what Puerto Rico could be like one day. Puerto Rico is in a crisis that makes customers afraid to spend the few dollars that they have to eat. Many don't have enough to survive.
Doña Hilda has seen how her Puerto Rico has gone from a prosperous island to a financial catastrophe waiting to happen. The government of this U.S. territory can't pay its total debt of $72 billion. The U.S. government might now take control of the island's finances. Though this being Puerto Rico, optimism is still the overriding emotion. Whatever their political affiliation, the people of Puerto Rico agree their country has been mismanaged to the brink of financial collapse. And they hold everybody responsible, from the local power to the government in Washington.
We do have funds. The problem are the governments. They're all corrupt.
So who's at fault?
We are. We are the ones who voted them in. We are responsible. That's why we're here to shake things up.
The government hasn't been able to sort out its finances, so we need to sit down with our creditors to come to an agreement and to improve Puerto Rico's economy.
There's a mood for change on this Caribbean island. Enter someone like Ricardo Rosselló, candidate for governor.
The biggest aggravating circumstance is the colonial system. Puerto Rico doesn't have political power because we are a colony. We don't have the means of other states and we don't have stability.
Despite appearances, Rosselló and many others on the island oppose Washington's meddling and its plan for fixing the debt crisis. There are widespread fears that the federal government's way of reducing the debt could lead to budget cuts, job losses, and more of this.
This classroom might look like this, but every year I have to pay for things myself.
Gloria Rivera is a kindergarten teacher in a public school. Behind the facade, things are crumbling, much like the Puerto Rican economy. The party is well and truly over, despite what this teacher and civil servant sees as a denial of a crisis.
Many people here and many politicians are trying to conceal the situation that's coming our way. But I know what's coming. Everything will fall like a line of dominoes, one thing after the other. One ham calzone for here or takeaway.
Gloria's family has decided to reinvent itself in case the economy goes further south. The food truck is run by herself, her husband, and her two sons.
It's our way of being less dependent. We can't depend this much on government jobs. We need to become self-employed. We need to find a new way of moving forward. Even if our government is in crisis, we have to look forward.
You see people catching the train or the bus because they don't have enough money for gas. We're all affected. The government takes more and more away from us, and we are paying the consequences.
This is where it really hurts. Hospitals and waiting rooms across the island. People are leaving Puerto Rico for the mainland, and that includes many doctors. In the midst of a health crisis, the Zika virus is spreading in Puerto Rico.
Now, for more on Puerto Rico's debt crisis, I'm joined in the studio by Nicolas Tarnot, an economist. Hello, thank you very much for coming in. So Puerto Rico has a $72 billion debt. How does that figure compare to other U.S. territories or states?
Well, it's a huge debt. It's not a new debt. Puerto Rico is facing financial crisis, also economic crisis, and political crisis. We have to look back to 2006, when they cut a tax credit benefit for U.S. firms, and then most of them transferred to other Caribbean countries. They moved to Asia countries. So, and then after 2008 subprime crisis, of course, the Puerto Rico has suffered from the bond market in terms of interest rate and liquidity. And now they pay the consequence of the all years in terms of you know, when you every year, for instance, this country has they made about $800 million deficit budget. So if you do accumulate this deficit budget every year, plus you have to pay off the loan, and you receive less income from businesses and all taxes, of course, you have a deficit and you have to finance. And the problem now is facing this huge debt. Of course, Obama has to come up with the Congress right solution to cut this debt or to refinance, because otherwise they will go bankrupt.
What do you make of this proposal then to set up a financial oversight board?
Well, actually, there's a big pressure from investors now because, as you know, the bond holders are from Americans, retired, and there's a big pressure from them, big pressure from the bond investors, from banks, and of course, with this just huge amount of debt, the problem is not U.S. territory. So we can put Puerto Rico under the Chapter 9, which could be a good solution like the Michigan did 2 years ago.
What do you mean by Chapter 9?
It's you put country, like a U.S. state, it's you protect from all creditors for years. You don't pay any interest rate. You don't pay anymore, just for it's just a new agreement. And then you launch fresh money, you know, just to launch the country, to restart the country. In that case, I think there is no choice, because they don't have means to pay off this amount right now.
But why would Washington have waited so long to intervene?
It's a political issue as well, and now, as you know, we are in a campaign where we are approaching the end, and Puerto Ricans are extremely present in Florida, and as you know, it's a swing state. And you know that's the winner will depend on this Florida state, and of course they're under pressure, especially for Democrats. So that's why Barack Obama and Democrats are under pressure to come up with a very quick financial solutions.
All right, Fredo, that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much for coming in, though, Nicolas Tarnot.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I'll be